Hello, Vegas baby fans. What's up? I know you have been missing some Lynn, haven't you? I know. I do apologize. It's been, like everybody else, it hasn't been a whole lot of fun. And it kind of messed with my head. And I just couldn't find funny. And I don't know, I just didn't care about the show. And it's a shame. I made 31 of them before that. And then, so only Lynn does a show when everybody's working and they have very little time to watch it and puts them out there. And as soon as everybody is stuck in their house and can watch her shows, does she do them? No. So that's why I guess Michael, my son, will never have to worry about eating that shoe because it ain't gonna ever happen. And if you don't know what that means, it was a bet he made that if my show got famous, he'd eat a shoe. But it didn't, and it won't. But I'm back. Update, it's May. Christ, I don't even know what it is. May 2nd, May 3rd, something like that. I don't know. 4th, 5th, something like that. And it's already really hot here in Vegas. It is in the 90s, which is unusual for this time of year. Usually it's 80s, but that's all right. But the problem is, and it's going to be a problem the rest of this year, that's for sure, is what I do, you can do is you can use the casino pools. So, what I used to do when I lived up north in Vegas, there was this hotel casino that I love called the Aliante, beautiful pool. So I would go there. And a lot of the casino hotels charge residents like $10. I paid once. The rest of the time, I just realized walk in and look like you belong there. So I used to take friends there. I used to go there. And then me and my other friend that I know, we used to go to the Mandalay Bay. And they charge you two. After paying once, we realized, let's just walk in. So we had our inner tubes the second time because they have a lazy river. They have everything at the Mandalay Bay. A lazy river, wave pool, regular pools, you name it. Kiddie pools. So we walked in, didn't look like we were resident. I looked like we were people at the hotel. Never got charged. We loved it, but when the casinos open back up, slowly but surely, um, pools they say they're not sure they're going to open them, and if they do, they're going to be for guests only. So that ain't happening, which really sucks because all my friends have pools, and you know who I'm talking about, don't you? No, I'm happy that they do. So I'm trying to find a blow up pool to put in my little backyard and sit in it. Hey, it's better than nothing, but I can't even find those. Two things I want so bad right now is a blow up pool that is at least 5 feet long, so I can sit it with my feet out, and disinfectant wipes, the things you pull out of the thing. Since it started, I thank God I had two. And I already used the one up, and now I'm getting dangerously low on the other, and you can't find them anywhere. I go online, I can't find them. So please, if somebody can help me here, I would greatly appreciate it. I was just in the store today. I finally went to the big Walmart today. I haven't been there since March, middle of March. I have a Walmart market by me, and then my grocery store literally 3 minutes from my house. So that's where I usually go, but I'm like, okay, I need a few extra things. First of all, that was a big waste of time because there wasn't anything there. And I was really kind of surprised how they weren't stocking. Like I wanted to get shorts, like the kind of like the sports shorts, the stretchy shorts people put on wear around the house. I was buy a couple of them every year to, because you wear them out. Nothing. So I don't know what's going on there. But disinfectant wipes, man, please. If you watch this, you know a site I can get them because I can't find them. I keep looking online, and it's making me perspire. I'm getting so verklempt. But anyway, so I don't really have a set show. I thought I'd talk a little bit about my goofy father and just funny things and checking in with you guys and stuff. And then I'm going to sing a song at the end of the show that is, I don't know, kind of good for these times. First of all, I hope everybody's safe and healthy. These are rough times. I've told many of my friends and family, yeah, I don't want to get it because it'll kill me. I know it. I just know it. So, but on the other hand, I want everything to open again. Like the casinos and the bars and the restaurants here, none of it's open. And when they do open, it's not going to be the same for a while. So it's really, really going to suck. So, I mean, I was just getting out and starting to meet people. And then this happens. You know what? Whatever. So, but I do wear my mask. And personally, I think if everybody wore a mask right now, maybe they can open up more and more stuff because really that's keeping you and the other person safe, right? So I think they should. I don't like wearing the mask. Sometimes it steams up my glasses. And it's really funny. If you know me, I got bad hearing. My father's hearing for sure. So now at the stores, they've got that plexiglass in front of the cashiers and they're wearing masks. So when they talk to me, there's no way I can hear them. Between all of that, I'm always like, huh? So that don't show my age. I don't know what does. So, but yes, I do have two masks. I always have them in the car. And what are you going to do? I just hope that everybody out there is, I don't know. I just hope everybody I know has money coming in, has food on the table because let's face it, I've heard a few people that I know and strangers say, well, it's really not that bad. I've got food, I've got my family, I've got this, I got so it's really not that bad. And I think to myself, you know, kind of insensitive. There's a lot of people here in the United States that are standing in line at the food banks, thousands of people, and it's not good for them. And kids are losing meals. So you know what? It's this is not good. I'm happy if your life is good. Cool, you deserve it, but don't be insensitive to what's going on around you. Don't brag about it. Because that's just bad karma. Nobody wants bad karma. Am I right? Right? I used to have bad karma. I don't think I do anymore. I think I've kind of gotten rid of that, probably when I left Illinois. But so, anyways, anybody that knows me, I've talked about my father, and I am kind of like the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. I know. Well, first of all, I can't hear dad and face dad. Talking to anybody about anything, my dad. Um, so my dad, what can I say? Well, first of all, just give it a listen. He served in World War II. He joined up when he was 17. Now, my dad never talked about the war, and the grandkids tried. The only thing he would joke around was that they called him Junior because he was so young. And so he would tell a few bar stories, how he got in fight in bars and stuff, but that was it. But he was in World War II, came back, met my mom, and he was he just got off a bus. I think he was going to Glenview because it was in Illinois, to the base because he was just getting out of the army, and he saw my mother on the corner across the street, and supposedly, now this is supposedly, he said to that guy, "I'm gonna marry that woman," and they ended up married for 49 years, I think, before my mom passed away. 48, 49, I'm not sure. They loved each other to death. And sometimes I would tell people, sometimes, I mean, we wanted for nothing, material wise, we had everything. Um, it was, and I know they loved us definitely, but sometimes I'm showing it and sharing it and giving us the stuff we needed. It wasn't always there. And I used to say to people, sometimes they were so much in love with each other they forgot about the four of us, which they didn't, but you know what I mean. But my dad was a character. First of all, Irish. And of course, he has four kids, and he thinks that all four of them are just Irish. Well, my mom has a little something to say about that. She was German, right? But my dad, for an Irishman, could not hold his liquor, and that's what is just completely fine. Believe me, I could drink. I could have drank my dad under the table, no problem. He had a couple martinis, and he wasn't a small man, and that man was flying around. It was so funny that I mean, he's seriously, he drank a lot and he could drink all night, but he would get drunk fast. And so it's kind of funny. I must get the wooden leg from my mom's side of the family because I know I could drink them under the table. But there would be some Christmases, and he'd be a little tipsy, and he would start singing. His favorite was "When Irish Eyes Are Smiling." That's all I know. And the whole world smiles right back. He would sing that all the time. We'd all be like, oh, God, here he goes. I think I told this story, but I'm going to tell it anyway. So there was a neighbor next door when we were younger, and he was an Irishman. This guy came from Ireland. And real nice people. And he it was Christmas morning. It was probably about 11 o'clock or something, and we were done with presents and stuff. And now we're getting ready for the meal. We always ate around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he called my dad over. He said, "Come on over. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas, and I have a little something here." And this is when my dad was still drinking, because he did have to quit drinking because of his stomach. He had a bleeding ulcer, but he was still drinking at this time. So I know I was younger, and he went over there. And now it's, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. My dad's not back. And so my mom sent my brother, "Go over to their house and get your father back here." And so, because there's no cell phones back then. So he did. And he went over, and then he came back and he goes, "Dad's coming." He goes, "But I don't think you're going to like it, Mom." And first of all, when they had a little, like, 3 steps, a little small deck with 3 steps on it, my neighbor's house, to get down to the ground. He missed all 3. Boom. Now we know where Lynn gets her falling from. My dad. So he comes home and he's hammered. And he's, "Oh, honey, what are you doing?" He's trying to hug and kiss my mom. And she's like, "Donald." And whenever she called him Donald, you knew he was in trouble. And he's like, "Oh, come on." She was so pissed. She's like, "My mother and Dick, her brother, are going to be here any minute." So she's like, "Go upstairs and get cleaned up." And I'm pretty sure as he was walking up the stairs, we had these long chimes. He ran, and then he knocked into him, and they're ching, dong, ding, ding. And he went up and got changed, and he came back, and he was just hilarious. My grandma walks in. She's 5. She was 5. I don't think she was in 5 feet. Now you know where I got my shortness from. I don't think she was even that tall, and she didn't like my dad ever. She always thought my dad was going to amount to nothing. Guess she was wrong about that. And my Uncle Dick came. And my dad's like, "Esther!" And he's hugging her. And she, of course, he's engulfing her. She's like 4'11. And she's like, "Don, all right." And then, so, went on. You can imagine what the afternoon was like. We were all laughing. So then we're at the dinner table. My mom sat at one end, my dad sat at the other, and we had a really long dining room table. They had, where they could put the pieces in it to make it longer. And we had a lot of people there, the relatives. And my mom says to my dad, "Could you pass the rolls, please?" Or she said to somebody, "Please pass the rolls." Well, my dad takes a roll and throws it at her. Yes, she got it. But if looks could kill. So then the 3 of us, I don't count my sister because she was born, but she was so young she wouldn't have gotten it. So the 3 of us, me and my brothers, were looking at each other going, and we're trying not to laugh. She's like, "Donald!" And she's yelling at him, and he's like, "You want another one?" She's like, "No!" Oh my God, it was hilarious. And then, my phone's ringing. Let it ring. And then pretty much after dinner, he passed out. Oh boy, he got in a lot of trouble for that Christmas. A lot of trouble. And then, if we're going to stay on the holiday thing, I thought about this back on Easter. So when we were little kids, God, I hope I didn't tell this story. I might have, but no, because I wasn't doing my show then. You're right. So on Easter, and I'm going to say me and my 2 brothers and me, because my sister is 9 years younger, and this is just us 3 right now. Sorry, Kathy. But so my mom would always make a dozen hard-boiled eggs for each of us, 3 of us. And then the Easter bunny would hide them, and our baskets and stuff like that. And my parents had a very usual routine on their drinking. Certain days they drank and certain days they didn't. And Saturday night was not usually one of the nights, but for some reason, this Easter, this Saturday night, he drank. So we all went to bed, and he proceeded to hide the eggs, all 36. And then we get up, and we're all, running around. And then what they would do is he'd be like, we come back. He's like, where'd you find that one? And we tell him. He's like, okay. And then he's like, and then sometimes he'd follow us and he'd go cold, real cold, warm, warm, warm. You're getting warmer, warmer. So that's how some of the ones that we really couldn't find, he would have to do with us. But this happened more than once. But this Easter, we found 35. And he's like, 34, I think it was 34 at first. We found the other one after him trying to really rack his brain. And number 36 was never found because he couldn't remember where he put it. So, which was hilarious. My mom's like, great. Well, I'm sure we're going to follow a smell soon, which oddly enough, it did not. So it was about 4 months later. And my mom was doing something in her bedroom. She pulled the bed and did something with the sheet, or did something with the mattress or something, and there's the egg between the mattress and the headboard. There was the missing number 36 egg. And I think she found it in like July. And it didn't smell. I'm sure it would have if we broke it open, but we were like, we shook it, and there must have been just a little bit of yolk left in there, and everything else was gone because you could hear it shaking. It was so funny, but we didn't open it. We threw it out. So, yeah, so the moral to this is do not get drunk and hide Easter eggs. Unless you've got a simple house, and we had a big house, you're not going to find them all. Just saying. My dad was the kind of dude that he would walk through, it was really embarrassing. We would go to a restaurant, and he would just walk right up to a table. I'd be like, hey, what you eating? What do you recommend? And we'd be like, Dad, you can't do that. I mean, I'd be pissed if somebody did that to me. But he did it. One time, it was breakfast. Him and the boys were out for breakfast. They were working, and they wanted more coffee. The waitress was real busy, so he got up, went behind the counter, got the pot of coffee, regular and decaf, and walked around and asked people if they needed coffee, and then filled his and put them back. Yeah, that's my dad. Many years later, I was working for this company that I worked for over 18 years. Loved them. Anybody who knows me for a long time knows Beckman Instruments. Love them. I'm also getting a pension from them, and that's starting in July, so I really love them. So I was working there, but we had moved into our Schaumburg office, a smaller office, and this is when you still had receptionists at the front, right? So there was this woman, Carol. I won't say her last name. Unfortunately, she has since passed away. God bless you, Carol. And she was a toughie. She was a beautiful black woman. Do not get me wrong, beautiful, but she was kind of big. She could be scary. I mean, you know what I mean? I was good friends with her, but there are some people who were afraid of her. So I can't remember why he had to come to the office, but he had to come and give me something, or I don't remember. So anyway, he walks in the door, and Carol's sitting there, and she says, "Can I help you, sir?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm here to see my daughter." And he's like, "Oh, who's your daughter?" Lynn Hayden. "Oh, well," and he goes, "Oh, don't worry about it." And he walks right by her. And she's like, "Sir, you can't go back there." And she's starting to chase after him. He's like, "I'm fine." And he starts yelling out, "Lenny, Lenny," in an office full of people. "Where's my daughter, Lenny?" And I'm on the phone, and I'm like, I turn around, and I'm like, oh my God, it's my dad. And Carol Taylor's right behind him and going to this one boss who heard it. She's like, "He just walked right by me." And Gary, one of my bosses, said, "Don't worry about it. It's cool. It's Lynn's dad. Don't worry about it." And then people were like, "What is he saying?" And I said, he's like, "Lenny, Lenny." And he points to me, and I said, "Dad, my name is Lynn to them. They don't call me that." Oh, so everybody's like, "Oh, we have a new name to call you." And I'm like, no, 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 no. And even people in my job, a few years ago, they used to laugh about that. And I'm like, no, only family and very close friends can call me Lenny. There is no new friends who call me Lenny. It's just, that was my dad's name for me. But that was pretty funny when Carol, oh man, we laughed so hard after my dad left because she comes back and goes, I can't believe your father just walked right by me. And I said, you know what? It isn't disrespectful. That's just my dad. He don't get it. He's old school. He walks in and he keeps going. And so that was pretty funny. Disrupted the office for quite a while. And I'm trying to think of other stories. I mean, there's just a million of them. Oh, this is a good one. So my dad was really good at buying gifts, like Christmas time for my mom. It sometimes, as we got older, this one Christmas, I'll never forget it. He bought her a bunch of dresses. He had really good taste. And what he would do is he'd go to the really, really nice places when they were nice. Like when Macy's was really a high end store or Carson's was a high end store. They're not anymore. It's not like that like it was 30, 40, 50 years ago. So he'd go in his work clothes because he's an air conditioning man. He'd sit down in the chair and he would pay the salespeople to try on the dresses to see what they look like. I swear to God. And one Christmas, he bought her like 4 dresses, I want to say. I think they were going on a big cruise, right? Not that next spring. And they loved to dress up. He had a tux he owned, and she always wore the long gowns. My mom was a girly girl. Unlike her first daughter, I am not. And of course, that didn't go over very well. But whatever. And so she opens the one dress, and we're all like, oh my God, Dad. And then the next dress, we're like, oh my God. By the time she got done opening dress 4, we were older. Kids and I were upstanding, giving them a standing ovation, my dad. I'm not kidding. It was very, very funny. He was, but to that effect, he really spoiled my mom. And one year, God, I'm like, look at me. I can't seem to, what's going on here? Right? Anyways, excuse me. So one year, it was her birthday. Her birthday was in November, and he normally didn't forget stuff like that, but he did. Look at my hair; it's sticking up. It's very distracting. Excuse me, allergies. Don't worry, you're not gonna catch it. So one year it was her birthday. He comes home at the end of the day, and my mom's just kind of giving him a look, and he's like, "Happy birthday, sweetie," and he hands her a card. She's like, okay. She opens up the card, she reads it. Out comes $100 bill. My mom looks at him. She takes the $100 bill, and I swear to God, this is the truth. She takes the $100 bill and goes, rips it in half, throws it at him, and says, now go buy me a real gift. Which he did. He got changed and went back out. My mom did not believe. She was never one to give money as gifts. We did not get money as gifts. Maybe like when we were 18 and 19 on our birthdays, that age. But when we were young, no money. That was just not an option with her. And she kept that ripped $100 bill because when she passed away, me and my sister were cleaning out her stuff and we found it. And we're like, what the hell is this? And my dad's like, oh my God. It really brought him to tears. He's like, she kept that all those years. So it had happened a long time ago. But I love it. He goes, when he told us the story, he goes, yeah, she ripped it in half and threw it in my face. And I went out and got her a real gift. Isn't that funny? Yep, that was my parents. But I'm trying to look and see if there's any other good gifts. Ideas. The grandkids loved my dad because of some of the stuff he would do and say. Like, it was only a few years. Actually, I think it was a year before my mother-in-law, Marilyn, passed away, and 2 years before my dad passed away. And my sister had an Easter, and there was five generations of people there between all the families. It was really cool and was really neat. And so we were all there. Bill's mom, my brother-in-law Tom's mom, all of us. We were just there, and it was my niece Jackie's birthday around the same time. So Grandma Pat, my dad's wife, new wife now, and Dad came, and they walk in, and Grandma Pat goes, "Oh no!" And my dad goes, "What?" She goes, we didn't bring the birthday present. We left it at home." And he looks at her. He takes his fingers. He goes, you mean you left the gift at home. I had nothing to do with it." And we're all laughing. We're like, "Great, Dad, throw your wife under the bus." Yep, that's my dad. Oh, another thing. My uncle, who has passed away, my Uncle Bob, he's my awesome cousin Don's father. Recently, probably a year before he passed 2 years ago, he said to me, "You know what?" Because my dad loved to sing, which, again, if you know me, I love to sing. I'm not good at it. He wasn't good at it, but I love it. And so now we know I get that from him too. Wow. Talking too much, falling down, the face, um, singing, laughing. Yeah, all my dad. That's me. But he he loved to sing. When we were young, they would turn on music, a lot of Mitch Miller at the Christmas time, and then he would sit up there and just sing and sing. When he had a few cocktails, oh my goodness. And then sometimes their best friends would spend the night on Friday night. They'd get hammered. The best friends would be on the couch in the morning. So me and my two brothers, we'd wake up, Saturday morning, 7 o'clock. We wanted to watch cartoons. We'd go down there, and the Mr. and Mrs., the friends, are passed out on the couches in the chair. So we're like being real quiet, getting breakfast, and then we turn on the TV soft, and the three of us are watching TV while the drunks are sleeping behind us. Of course, I've been there. My friends have spent the night at our house when Michael was there. But but he said to me, my uncle said to me once, "Your father did karaoke long before karaoke ever existed." He goes, "Too bad, because your dad could have made a fortune, because 50 years ago he was standing and they'd go to bars, and back then the nightclub, they called them supper clubs, they would always have a piano playing on a Friday and Saturday night. Sometimes the guy sang, sometimes he didn't. Sometimes they had a drum or two and maybe like a saxophonist. That's it. And we always heard how my dad would get up on stage, whether he was welcome or not, and he'd sing. And my uncle said he did karaoke long before anybody even knew what karaoke was." One other funny story, and then I'll probably get on to my song. When we lived in our house in Prospect Heights that my dad had built when my mom became pregnant with me. So my dad built the house we lived in, and next to it was a big field, which eventually, many, 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 many years later, a house was put on it. But for the majority of my lifetime, that field was empty, which was kind of cool, because at one point we had a snowmobile and we had a big side yard, so we could drive around the side yard, and then on that vacant lot, oh, me and my brothers, we had a blast. That was so much fun. But we would stand there. So my dad would stand at one end of the field, and my brothers and me would stand at the other end, and we would play. I don't know if you people remember 500, where you throw the ball up and you hit it, the baseball, and if you catch it on a fly, it's 100 points. One bounce 75, two bounce 50, three bounces 25, and you played, right? You guys remember that, right? Great game. And I was a really good ball player, actually better than my two brothers, but whatever. But I couldn't play because I was a girl. And my dad tried, believe me, he tried getting me on teams. But anyways, so I could catch anything. But my dad, man, he could frickin' whack that ball. So we would be standing. I don't know how long this field was, but it was big. And he would whack them. So every once in a while he'd go. So we had a neighbor across the street, and Mr. Hagan. Very nice people, very good friends of my parents, grew up with their kids, and it was a joke. He was just my dad was playing with Mr. Hagen. He was trying to mess with him, and so he's like, Lenny. So you'd have to go across the side street and get into. He goes, go in front, go to Mr. Hagen's front of his yard. I go, what do you mean, Dad? You're not going to hit it that far. And he's like, oh yeah, I will. And you know how upset he'll get. So my dad, boom, and the ball, I catch it. And Mr. Hagen, I know he said something to my dad once, you better not be breaking into my windows. And my dad's like, nah, not with this little slugger behind me. She can catch anything. But he loved messing with Mr. Hagen, and I'd be like, I don't know if I'm sure none of the Hagens would watch this, but they would remember that, I'm sure. So he was just, and then last, oh yeah, oh, the Hells Angels, I gotta say that. We were at a wedding. I was married to Bill, but Michael wasn't born yet, so I'm not sure. It was probably middle 80s. And it was an old friend of my brother's, actually one of his old girlfriends, had gotten married, and we were still friends with her and everybody. So we all went. And it was a very casual wedding. The reception was in a country, apartment complex country club type of thing. Really nice. That was nice. And she at that time was a Mount Prospect police officer, and she was kind of a real more laid back person, and they were just kind of real people. Her boyfriend, her husband to be, was a biker, and he knew a bunch of Hell's Angels. Do you remember that group? So a bunch of them came to the wedding. So we're inside, all having a good time. All of a sudden, my brother's like, "Where's Dad?" I don't know. And we're like, I don't know. So my brother goes, I'm going to go out and have a cigarette. He comes in, he goes to my other brother, you got to come out here. You got to help me. Dad's getting in a fight with the Hells Angels. And we're like, what? My dad had no clue what he was doing. So my dad's out there, apparently. And apparently, one of the bikers started making fun of some guy that was at the wedding, was kind of teeny and this and that, which is really uncalled for, but that's just another story. We're staying to the funny part. And so my dad saw that, and my dad wouldn't put up with that. No, 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 no. So my dad went right over there, and he got in front of the little guy, and he's like, what are you guys doing? And there was probably like 8 Hells Angels standing there with all their leathers on, and they're like, what do you care and stuff. And the 3 of us, even Bill, 4 of us, Bill, Scott, and my brothers and me, and we all went out there. We're like, Dad, what are you doing? And the guy, the Hells Angels guy said, hey, old man, mind your own business. And my dad's like, who are you calling an old man? So then he's trying to get in their faces, and we're like, shit. So then my brothers kind of intervened and said, listen, my dad, he just doesn't like people to get picked on. And that's all. He don't mean disrespect and this and that. And then finally things settle down. But we're like, oh my God, he's picking a fight with the Hells Angels. Only my dad. Now does it make sense where some of this all comes from? And of course he talked all the time. Yeah. Well, and then or we could do his burping episodes during my sister's first wedding. During this ceremony, all of a sudden you heard burp, and we're all like, "Oh my God!" I could see my mom go to my dad. Really, Donald? And then at my brother-in-law's, that my sister's first husband, who had passed away unfortunately, when we at the after the wake, the first night after the wake, when we were leaving the funeral home, we walked up to the casket, and they say a prayer before you leave. And he does, and what does he do? He cut one. Oh, and it was like, oh my God, Dad. And we're all stepping back, trying not to laugh, because the person's up there saying a prayer, my sister's husband, and we're all like, and he's got a look on his face like, what? Oh, I didn't do it. Okay, so now if you know me, you're like, it becomes completely obvious why Lynn is what she is. So, anyways, I hopefully that made you guys laugh, okay? My hair is getting so freaking long because I can't cut it because of the hair places are closed. All right. I'm trying to see if there's any other good. I'm sure there's other stories that I forgot about, but that's okay. Don't worry about it. So, I'm going to get a little sentimental here at the end. You know, I've got some songs I'm going to be singing later on my next shows, but I heard the Ray Charles version of this the other day, and then I heard it again today on WXRT from Chicago. You know, I'm still listening. And I was like, I heard it today when I was doing my walk, and I thought, okay, let's do it. Let's sing it because we kind of need it right now, right? So, what do you guys think? And I would love for you to sing along. That would be so cool. So, if I can hear you, come on now, I want to hear you. So, what do you think? Here we go. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber ways of grain, for purple mountains, majesty above the fruited plain. America, America, you know God done shed his grace on thee. He crowned thy good, yes he did, in brotherhood from sea to shining seas. Come on, everybody, sing along. America, America, God shed his light on thee. He crowned the good, yes he did, in brotherhood from sea to shining seas. Let's remember to take care of everybody out there. This is tough, tough times. And, I'm not hurting, but my heart aches for the people who are out of work, people that don't have food. God bless them all. America, America, oh no, God shed his grace on thee. Oh yeah, America. He crowned the good, yes he did, in brotherhood to see. From sea to shining sea. Thank you. Thank you. Now, if that didn't make you laugh, I don't know what your problem is. Put my microphone down and listen. I'm going to try to get back to maybe having some interviews, see if I can get people out of their confinement and come over and talk to me. And I'm really going to start to try to do shows again. I apologize for being such a baby and not doing them, but, it's tough. And it's, remember, I've told you this before. Somebody who lives alone, reach out to them, call them, text them, email them, let them know they're not forgotten. It's hard living alone. And what's really the toughest for them is at nights. Nights are bad. Ever since I lost my husband in 2008, I don't like nights by myself. There's just least favorite time of the day. So just reach out to somebody. Tell them you love them. I've got some friends who have make sure they touch base all the time. I've actually talked to a couple friends more now than I have in years. My family, and you know what? It's just really important. We gotta love one another, right? Can I think of a song for that? Love will keep us together. Baby, when, oh, never mind. I'm not going to sing that. I think I'm going to sing that song because I got a good story about that one. So that's another show. And I want to thank some people. My two friends. I know that I'm pretty confident that my brother and sister in law watch all the time too. So thank you, you two. But Sue and Peggy, shout out to you. You've seen all 31 shows. Now, if my brother has and he watches this, he's got to text me and tell me he has too. Tomorrow I will give you props. I think you have, but I don't know that for sure. But Sue and Peggy, you two rock. And keep it up, my friend. And make sure you're kind to people. Wear a mask when you go out. It's not fun, but it's the best way to keep us all healthy, safe, and open up America again. And be kind to people and love people. And don't miss the next Vegas baby show starring me, Lynn. All right, guys, love you. Keep on rocking and rolling, Berber.